That was the interpretation of that part. So I'm gonna skip the part where these was placed in the fire furnace, where the Nebuchadnezzar cast these into the fire furnace. Well, it's telling us at the end results that they will not all take on the law of democracy, depending on how. It doesn't matter how much they fight. They will hold their integrity towards the God. And the fiery furnace was a symbolized of nuclear weapons would be used on these people in this season, which started with President George W. Bush invading this Iraq on false charges. The fiery furnace that King Nebuchadnezzar cast these peoples in is the nuclear weapons that will be used this time on these people, because all of these people will not use weapons, will not abandon the law of Moses. They will not. That's what it's telling us right there. So the only way, and the sinister-minded peoples, who is the peoples who forsaken the covenant, the CIA, who have no covenant with God because he is a killer. He is the lamb that goes up in the spaceship. He is the Antichrist, and the organization of the rich man to keep him rich is the Antichrist. Let me go to another part. I had to rush this, but I want to go to 4:10 and Daniel 4:10, because with Daniel 4:10-17 is going to give you insight why they are really over there. I'm starting Daniel chapter 4 and 10 of a new vision of Belshazzar, which began at Belshazzar, master of the magicians, because I know that the spirit of the holy God is in thee, and no secret trouble thee. Tell me the vision of my head, my dream, and that I have seen, and the interpretation thereof. This is still yet Daniel chapter 4. I'm have to do this here and cut short circuit this here because my time is limited, and you get your Bible, the Holy Bible, and go to Daniel chapter 4. I'm trying to bring this in here because these are the parts that I just covered. I'm trying to cover this here and show you the real reason why it was over there. It was not over there because the man had weapons of mass destruction. Verse 10, Daniel chapter 4. God is speaking to us. This is the Bible prophecy. Thus were the vision of my head in my bed. I saw, and behold, a tree in the midst of the earth, and the height thereof was great. The tree grew and was strong, and the height thereof reached unto the heavens, and the sight thereof to the end of all the earth. Listen at the characteristics speaking here. To end of all the earth, a single tree. The leaves thereof were fair, and the fruit thereof much, and in it was meat for all the beasts of the field. But meat for all. Meat is food. Meat is food. Meat for all. The beasts of the field had shattered under it, and the fowls of the heaven dwelt in the bowl thereof, and all flesh was fed. This is the tree right here I draw. Here's the vultures I got sitting into this tree here. These are the beasts. Here's the bear, the lion, and the leopard sitting up under this tree. Because I was talking about a single tree. I saw in the vision of my head upon my bed, and behold, a watcher and a holy one came down from heaven. He cried aloud and said thus, hew down the tree and cut off his branches, shake off his leaves, and scatter his fruit, lest the beasts get away from under it, and the fowls from his branches. Nevertheless, leave the stump of his roots in the earth, even with a band of iron and brass in the tender grass of the field, and let it be wet with the dew of heaven, and let his portion be with the beasts in the grass of the earth. Let the heart be changed from man's, and let a beast's heart be given unto him, and let 7 times pass over him. This matter is by the decree of the watchman, and the demand, and demand by the word of the Holy One, to the intent that the living may know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and giveth it to whosoever he will, and setteth up over it the the basset of men. Now, let me stop here. It said a single tree. It alleged that the man had weapons of mass destruction, reason they went over there. But something became a magnet that kept them over there. Well, these nations who had became rich by robbers of the earth, invading the earth. The tree that God was talking about in symbols, even though he gives us the characteristic when we understand the significance, he said it fed the entire world. So what it is, the industrialized nation depends upon the crude oil over there. And if they didn't have the crude oil, it's essential that they had the crude oil to run their vehicles of implement, to harvest and to raise crops. If they didn't have the luxury of this oil, then many of their people would starve to death. So this crude oil over there became the tree of gold, the tree that rested and fed everybody over the earth. So what God did, it caused his people to be slain. They came and slayed his people, fabricated lies against them people to make them take on law and democracy, and they then fabricated lies to get this crude oil, to come over that bite and take this crude oil. But he said, these are the beasts that fought to take the crude oil, setting up kingdoms and making them abandon the law of Moses and taking on law and democracy. So what God's going to do, he said he's going to attack the thief, kill the thief. So by them needing this crude oil, all these vultures and stuff coming there for the spoil, once they take this oil, God said he's going to cut down the tree. He's going to kill the crude oil over there. Once they bite and take this oil, God is going to kill the oil where they cannot, it will not yield oil, and their woes is going to be far worse than it was the beginning. This is the work of God. The air conditions will not run over here in America. The vehicles cannot run here in America. The factories cannot run here in America. Neither will the United Nations will even run, because God himself would act and he would kill the crude oil and leave only a small portion where the band of iron and of brass. The iron is the military force to be guarding the little oil over there, because they will not have enough to supply the need of the people. So if the earth have overpopulated this earth, and now it is a demand essential that they need this crude oil, they depend on this crude oil to support the habitat of this earth. Without the equipment, with this oil being shed off, God shedding this crude oil off, and man have became addicted to this oil, there'll be a massive starvation throughout the entire earth. This would be the curse because of what they did. They went over there and they took and invaded God's peoples on a lie. They made a fabrication of a lie, and their whole concept, mindset was to go over there and become robbers of the people, make them take on the democracy, and once they be democratized, they would have to live, they would have to honor the law of democracy, and if God paid them, then America and the United Nations that do not serve God will survive, because they would be to place them in the umbrella of their democracy. That means they have to abandon the law of Moses and take on the law of democracy. And when they do this, God will not feed them, because they won't be God's children. They will go in the name of God, because God cannot bless his people without blessing the enemy. So he will cut the crude oil off until